What's going on, everybody? This is Mark with the Project Fitfo podcast. As you can see, I have lost my voice, but in true Project Fitfo podcast fashion, I am figuring it the F out. So we're going to go this interview. I have a special one today. I know I say that every week because every week is truly special, but this week is really special. So we are at Maker's Gym located in Frisco, Texas. No, don't mistake that with San Francisco, California. Frisco, Texas, which is the northern part of Dallas. And we have the owner of Maker's Gym, this establishment where we actually run our podcast, Terrance Price. Terrance, welcome to the Project Fitfo podcast, my man.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so cool because before I get into you and your story, I want to tell people how we met, which is unique. I actually was at the barbershop. Shout out to my man Solo Mitchell.
Yeah, man.
Right? Solo's the bomb, ain't he?
Yeah.
So
that man is a genius with the clip.
I actually had the pleasure of having him on my podcast as well. And Solo, when I went to go get a haircut, you were actually in the chair before me, and we started chopping it up. And then I was curious of what you do, and you told me what you did, and I was like, that's interesting. It was Maker's Gym, which really was kind of unique because I was thinking, okay, is this a gym?
Yeah.
Are you one of my
Wait,
peers?
wait, are we competing?
But in all actuality, it's a content creator's playhouse.
Exactly.
I'm talking podcast rooms, sound studios, movie studios.
Yep.
Everything you can even imagine for a content creator.
Exactly.
This place is phenomenal. But that's how we ended up meeting. And he invited me. Terrance said, hey, you should come check me out. And I said, absolutely. Tell me when. And I came up here, and that was the beginning of a beautiful relationship because I was like, I have to be here. This is definitely the place I need to be. And so Terrance, my man, welcome.
Man, thanks for having me. I've been seeing you interviewing a lot of people, getting a lot of great stories. Man, it's an honor to be able to tell my story and to be on here because that's figuring the F out, man. That's the nature of business.
Isn't it?
The nature of business and life doing business. So
man, and you've actually, I've been privileged to hear a large majority of your story that you shared with me numerous times that I've come in here, and I found it so intriguing for anybody because you've done a lot of moves.
Trying to.
Yeah, what you've done, you got to give yourself more credit, my man. You've done a lot of moves.
Yeah.
So, if you can tell the crowd where you're from, and what got you, where were you at when you were like in your childhood that kind of paved the way to be where you're at today?
Okay. I'll try to keep it a little condensed because
Hey, go ahead.
I'm long-winded. but no, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee originally.
Okay.
So grew up in Memphis. It's depending on where you are, it can be rough. Depending on other parts of the city, it can be not so rough. But you tend to cross those areas. So my outlets were always arts, whether that's being in plays, whether that's drawing, whether that's painting. I got into graffiti a lot. One of the first things I wanted to do was architecture, which full story later. I mean, it's kind of crazy. The things that I ended up doing now, and being close to that. But ultimately, getting into school, the closer I got to high school and through middle school, I was drawing and started to do T-shirt designs. I was drawing it on paper, but I didn't know how to convert it into computers. Ended up having some mentors and teachers that ended up teaching me how to use design but translate it into the digital format. Dude, after that, I started like running my own business in 9th, 10th grade.
Oh, wow.
Ended up placing, 11th grade, ended up placing 9th in the nation in design in New York City. Crazy. That was a crazy story in itself.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry, 6th in the nation. 6th in the nation in design in New York City. We had different, phases that we would go through. We had different, FBLA, it was like Future Business Leaders of America, or BPA, Business Professional. Those are like high school organizations, and I competed through those throughout the years in design, different design competitions. And man, those really set the foundations for me to do business and make money. on my own in high school. And so by the time I got to college, I wasn't working for anybody during school. I had my college on retainer, I had St. Jude on retainer, I had different people, these different companies on retainer, just so that's how I can make money outside of going to class. And so that was the things that like I could create my own schedule and handle the business and things like that while getting better in my craft as a whole. So
That's amazing. So you were doing this all in high school and in college.
Yeah.
So doing all the because design is a broad spectrum. I would say of an industry.
It is. So graphic design is what I majored in school, but I ended up doing way more with it than the average person. Most of the people I went to school with that majored in graphic design don't end up using it at all because it's just harder, at least in Memphis, to use it in a professional realm. Hence, I ended up going to New York after college at a big ad agency, and the foundations of design is what translated into TV commercials, animation, print, out of home, and experiential. Like we're doing global campaigns, award-winning campaigns, and my whole thing that I take away from that is that design is the foundation to everything, right? To a lot of things. Now that same design translates into architecture. That same design translates into the physical aspects of what we're doing with the space and how people experience a brand. And so
you're speaking my language now.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's why me and you get along so well because I'm always preaching on business, and design is so important in the beginning portions of business.
Yep.
Because not only during your business plan, but also in marketing campaigns. Yeah. The design of whatever you put out is ultimately what's going to catch people's attention.
Exactly.
And that's how consumers want to come and actually phenomenal. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
No,
I'm really digging this right now. And I know Tony, my media guy, Tony, right now is gigging out, I'm sure, because this is all his realm. So I know he's really like feeling this. So I know there's a lot of videographers and photographers and media people that they would benefit from this podcast. So please.
Man. And to be clear, so I went to school for design, but like my trade ended up being art direction and creative direction and advertising. So, we're building campaigns from ground up, so before we get to the visuals, you want to come up with a simple idea that has legs that can grow and expand. Right. So that's always a challenge of creating. Some people want to just get in and just shoot. Like if you're pulling up on a shoot or like you said, building a brand or whatever, and you're just doing it just off the whim, but you haven't done any planning or strategy ahead of time, you can shoot it, but it's not going to be a lot. You're not going to know where to go from it. Right. You're not going to have a lot to build off of. So that planning ahead of time is key. And so creative planning and creative concepting, you want to, when building a brand, you come up with, we use a tagline, for example. We usually start with like a simple tagline that's usually 3 to 4 words max. So you want to get condensed with a tagline that's in that realm. And then that tagline is what you can build visuals off. You can build your voice off, your tone, then you can get into your color theory, like what is your colors and the emotions that
this would be like equated to a brand board.
Yeah, like we build full brand books off of this or brand campaigns, but yeah, I'm just explaining. It's like it's levels to it, but you have to start at the simplest state. Some of the best ideas and concepts are simple at nature, but it's simple. But it has legs that you can build off of, whether that's a commercial or whether that's a podcast, whatever it is, it still can funnel back to that same simple thought.
That makes sense. Sense. So you left to New York City from Memphis, Tennessee. How much of a cultural change was that?
It was a cultural change, man. I didn't realize how many black people I was around. Until I got to New York and in an ad agency. I was at Ogilvy in Mather, was like one of the biggest global ad agencies. Yeah. I'm not if you're familiar with like Mad Men, apparently like David Ogilvy, which is like known as the father of advertising. That show was kind of patterned after him. And so I get there and I tell you, like all of my peers were white and I called it like a chocolate chip cookie. This massive agency. I'll see one of me every now and then. It was a great place. It was diverse, and you see other races, but it was definitely a culture shock. Ultimately, I didn't realize how many black people were in Memphis compared to New York.
That's important.
So,
that's important, and that's
yeah.
what this whole thing is about. Is like, let's talk about that. You know, you went from Memphis, Tennessee, where the demographic is predominantly black that was around you.
Yep.
But now you go to New York City, and you're in a agency that is predominantly white.
Yep.
And there's only speckles of your culture or your demographic in that agency. How did that contribute to your work ethic?
One, New York, the pace of New York is discouraging to a lot of people. My personality type is, on the Enneagram, is a challenger, achiever. It's pretty dominant, and like I have to, like if I don't have something in front of me that I can kind of go after or attack, like if I'm not challenged, like in school, I was like straight A's, but I got N's and U's in conduct because I'm bored. You know what I'm saying? So that's
you're just like my daughter.
Yeah,
my oldest daughter. She's the same way.
Yeah, I'm the type that like I have to have things challenge me. So New York always kept me on my toes. The pace was fast. It was fast. So didn't have any family. Had to start friends over, all of that stuff, right? It was just strictly there on ambition, which a big chunk of people in New York are like that. Now, in this agency environment, I had to learn to speak different. I had to be comfortable in my own skin and who I am. People not used to a country accent. Like at the time, I was like, people didn't say y'all. So they would make jokes on people saying, it was just like little stuff like that. People clown people in Memphis all the time, so it didn't bother me. But you have to get comfortable in your own skin. It's easy to feel like you're in an imposter syndrome, to get the imposter syndrome or whatever. And just throw that out the window. Because you have value. You have value in a unique story and unique perspective as to why you're there in the first place. So if you're in a work environment, they hired you for a reason. Even if you feel like just because it was because I'm black or because I'm a minority and they hired me just because that's fine too. Because you have a different perspective that you're going to bring to that table. And it's important to walk in that confidence and understand your value. Because when you understand your value, then everybody else is going to understand it around you too. So that's what, over time, I had to learn fast because people will take advantage of you in those environments. If you're talented but don't understand how talented you are, people take advantage of you, work you crazy.
Or they put you in a box.
Yeah, put you in a box.
If they put you in a box, then you won't even know your full potential.
Yeah.
Because they'll hold you back because they don't want you to know your full potential.
Yep. And what I did was if I wanted to go into a new room, I started off as an interactive designer in the entertainment division, but I wanted to move over as an art director on the commercial side where we're building TV commercials and full campaigns. So what I did was I started creating my own projects outside of work, and then coming back and like, yeah, look, same thing y'all doing here. Look at this. I did this on my own with a fraction of the budget that y'all got. So imagine what I can do with the budget that y'all got, that y'all got here. So whatever you want to do, like if they're not giving you the opportunity, create the opportunity, and then
That's
it'll
a
make
gem.
room.
That's a gem. Go ahead and say it.
Yeah.
That's a gem. That one you got to tell them.
If they're not giving you the opportunity, you can create the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And that's the part. Don't sit and wait for somebody to give it to you. You got to go get it for yourself.
Absolutely. And so many people have a hard time with that.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very hard time with that, like, creating that opportunity for themselves to be able to grow, whether it's in one business or another. It doesn't really matter. It's just, creating those opportunities. So you created those opportunities. You now, did your own, promotion, advertisement stuff and showing everybody what you can do. What happened after that? How did you grow from there?
Ultimately, I ended up, just and I think I got promoted, went up like 3 or 4 positions in like less than 4 years. And then massive agency, I went from an intern to interactive designer to low-level art director, mid-level art director. So it was like 4 positions in less than 4 years, which is pretty insane.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a background in advertising. I didn't know nothing about advertising. I was just going off pure talent with just design. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to outwork everybody around me and figure it out from there. But we ended up winning. I ended up rebranding UPS globally. And we won some global awards for that. I want to say that was an Effie gold Effie for that one. And then I ended up winning a Clio. I'm sorry, that was a bronze Effie for that one, I think, and then a gold Clio for a NASCAR project that we did, and that was in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So it was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, so you put a staple. Yeah, you made something happen.
It was a blessing, man, to be in those opportunities. Sometimes it's like, the hard work can meet the opportunities at the same time, and great things can come from it. That's why it's just consistency is important, So.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you're in New York City.
Yep.
You rose the ladder.
Yep.
4 years later,
mm-hmm.
You're killing it.
Yep.
What was the next move? Because I know this.
You like how we get to where we at now?
How we get to where we at now?
Right.
Because I remember the stories. I remember you telling me. So
all right. So yeah, I'll try to.
No, we got time. Go for
okay.
it, man. Go for it. I'll let you know if we need to cut it short.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
cool. From there, I ended up leaving. I met my wife, which is cool. Met my wife in New York. We grew up 2 hours away from each other. She's in Arkansas, and I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, which is right across the bridge from each other, which is insane. We met in New York. She's in fashion school at the time at Parsons. And so I ended up leaving the agency to help her build her business. We ended up showing in Paris, New York, LA, showing herself all around the world. And I was helping her build her brand, which is crazy. While doing that, I realized two things. The network and the access that I had built at the big agencies, I was able to pull off some massive campaigns for her, some large-scale productions and campaigns for her for like a fraction of the cost, something that would probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in the agency world. So it's something that maybe we spent maybe 10 on.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm talking about productions of 20 to 30 people, sets 20 to 30 people on. We got professional boxers for one that it was like a crazy concept we had. It was like fashion and boxing mixing together. But pulling off that, long story short, pulling off that scale of a production, we were able to do that because of the access that I had, the network that I've built, and the access that we had to funds, equipment, and space. And that was a gap that I saw that was a need to fill, which inspired what we have now today was Maker's Gym. It's a space that fills the gap of tools, the equipment, the people, the network that you have here, and then the space that's fully equipped for you to do whatever you want, whether it's film, photography, editing, music, VO, ADR, whatever it is. You can do that all in this one space. If you want to scale and build a full campaign from the ground up, you have the tools to do that here, which we have several businesses that have done that, which is pretty amazing to see.
Yeah.
And it's just showing that there is some value there. It's not necessarily a talent difference between the agency life and everyday creators. It's usually just access, right? It's a blessing to be able to get placed in an agency, a corporate setting like that. It's a very small percentage of creators who get to be in that realm. But I wouldn't be discouraged as a creator that's not in that realm. I think it's just more about finding the access and the people that you can scale your projects with.
So you legitimately used your network that you had from the agency that you were working at to help build basically the beginning planning to Maker's Gym.
Well, no, I used that network to do her scale her projects.
Okay.
And then, but from that, I was like, people don't have what I have. How can we help bridge that gap?
Got it. So you brought it all together.
Exactly.
Because you were like, well, now we can find one place,
Yep.
That everybody can have everything they need.
Yep.
And create so much value.
Exactly.
That they're not going to want to go anywhere else because there is nowhere else.
Exactly.
So the solution to the problem.
Yep.
Beautiful. So now you're putting all this together. You and your wife, of course.
Yep.
And you go to put the plan together to come out here to.
Oh, yeah, man.
He's like,
so
let's
2016, we had it on paper, the concept on paper, like a 60-something page business plan laid out. This is crazy. Had that, then start. We were actually going to build in New York first. We were looking by the Barclays Center, and we was going to buy this check cashing place. It was only 8,000 square feet. I didn't realize how much square footage we actually need at the time, but
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing about commercial real estate. But I was going to figure it out. So we just out here just looking for property, moving on faith. And my bro-in-law, which is, we married, well, he married my wife's sister, and I married my wife. So he ended up being our primary investor and business partner. So he's like, man, look, come down here. Frisco is the fastest growing city in the country. Come down here. Well, at the time it was Dallas. We didn't know it was going to be in Dallas or we're part of the DFW. And ultimately we found this space that was a ground up build. So taking on commercial builds, and I don't know what it is. I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. And that's just always my mindset. There ain't nothing I can't figure. I'm going to figure it out, whatever it is, to get to the plan. So we'll build the ladder to get to that plan.
Yeah.
So we found a building and went through like 3 architects because I knew what we wanted and the level of things we wanted. People will tell you one thing and then not be able to deliver. Some architects only do like the square boxes. They really don't have a design, like true design eye for creativity. Like I did the rough initial floor plan. I'm not always this type. I do a first version of everything, and then I'll put it in front of somebody who's better than me that's supposed to scale it or make it better. But if I give it to you and you give it back to me the same, I'm like, nah, this ain't working. This ain't working. This ain't working, right?
I feel you.
Right. So
yeah.
if I'm working with like a DP or something like that on a set, like, yeah, I'm gonna get some storyboard. I'm gonna storyboard. I'm gonna plan this out, art direct it. But I'm not a DP. I need you to go in and put your sauce on it too to make it even better.
What's a DP for the audience who don't know?
That's a director of photography. That's the guy that's holding the camera, framing and everything like that. So it's a very specific art and position that like you have to have a great eye to do it. So but yeah, no, and we went through a lot of architects, but we found one that had the resources to pull off what we need, and they loved our project and the concept. And we started building in February 2020. If you don't know,
here we go.
In Texas and everywhere else, March, everything shut down because of COVID. But because it was an essential business, we were able to continue through construction throughout the heart of COVID. It was a ground up build, so it was going to take some time anyway. But so we thought that was going to be the only hurdle. Man, and by August, we was like, all right, cool. I come on site. I'm on site like every day pretty much anyway, but I come on site. Nobody's on site. I'm like, wait, what's happening? These people, like, I called some of the trades because I had relationships with them at that point. They're like, oh, yeah, we haven't been paid, man. They owe us $250,000 or $300,000 here. I'm like, that's some big – we 100% paid up on the GC. So why y'all not being paid? They said, we haven't been paid in 3 months. General Contractor was robbing us, taking the money from our project, putting it on other places. And then completely filed bankruptcy, bailed the whole project at the same time and disappeared. Closed their business, started a new LLC, and started doing construction down the street somewhere.
Okay, so let me make sure because the audience needs to know this.
Yeah.
This is if they haven't listened to anything. When we talk about figuring that F out, you are now at a point where you've lost your general contractor, the person ultimately in charge. He's taking all your money.
Yep. You're talking about millions, guys.
Millions of money. And he's basically just, and I can tell this is sensitive for you. You're about to, he's about to hurt somebody, right? And he took off. Yeah. You have workers that have not been paid. Yep. So now they stop.
Yep. And these are mom and pop. Some of these are not large trades. Some of these are mom and pop trades. So if y'all don't know how general contracting works, you got a GC that's like literally just what it sounds like, general contracting. They are the main hub for all the trades that they funnel to, just to make sure that they are on track and they're getting paid and the jobs that they're doing are getting right. It makes it easier for the client to do business with other trades if you got a general contract. But in some states, hold general contractors accountable. That like if something like this, you rob or file bankruptcy, it's just a bail, you'll lose your license. You can't trade anymore. Not in Texas. They just file bankruptcy and started a new LLC and kept going. So with all this money, right, that was lost, the mom and pop shop, some people that owe probably like $5,000 to, not like a lot. Oh, these are people that was like we can go bankrupt. We can I can't feed my kids because of this $5,000. People were going up to their offices, threatening their lives, threatening their I mean, it's a lot of money.
I'm with you, yeah.
It's crazy. Like people like, man, how y'all handling that? As prayer,
Lots
right?
of prayer.
Like, yeah, that was the closest I've ever been to God during this time, because it's the only way you can keep the sanity. The spirit, spiritual life is everything for me, and to go through some insane things like that,
Yeah.
you have to have a foundation that is that you can depend on and have people around you to really talk to and have an outlet, because otherwise you'll do some stupid stuff.
You know what's funny is that you brought that up because you get a lot of people that they crumble.
Yep.
A lot of people would have crumbled in your position. They would have saw no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
And literally crumbled. And you turned to prayer. But I'm sure you had a great support system as well with your wife.
Yeah.
Unless she was trying to kill you as well.
Oh no. She's an amazing support system.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's an amazing support system. You had her by your side. You had God by your side.
Yeah.
And now at this point,
I had to take over as general contractor, figure it out. So in advertising, we had to figure out communications and how to communicate to teams and on sets and productions. So the same tools you use for communication there, general contracting is a big part of is project management. So communicating to people where to be, how to be, what to do, where to go at the same time. That's all the trades need a lot. Like, they know how to do their job, they got the plans, but when and where they need to be at what time, that's a lot of the general contracting project management piece. So I filled that gap, had trades and the architects on calls, led those calls weekly, and we got it done. I had to renegotiate 30 different contracts with the subcontractors because they knew, instead of not getting nothing, and we knew without them we wouldn't be open to make the money back. We had to renegotiate a deal to where, okay, y'all get a percentage. Y'all can finish for a percentage of this. We'll come out of extra money, finish a project, and go from there. Instead of them having to close their business from the large amount of money that they were going to lose, we figured out where it works for all. We had to negotiate all of that, and it worked out because, and when people walk through the space, the blessing is that you don't feel what we've been through, and that's always the best part. And then a lot of times people see the pretty side of owning a business, but I didn't have all these gray hairs in my beard before this. I feel like, So
I'm with you. So, wow, that's crazy. That's you were able to become a general contractor through this process.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. A lot of people do not see the behind the scenes.
Yep.
And the things that that transpired. If I may ask, how were you guys generating income during the time that you were to be in the general contracting end of this thing build, especially during COVID?
We weren't.
Wow.
We weren't. So yeah, the longer we weren't open, the more money we would come out of. Yeah.
Wow.
We weren't.
That's
we
crazy.
factor in a lot of it. You plan a lot of that stuff ahead of time, and the investment amount. Like, if you got a certain amount of time for construction, then also you have padding or salaries built into that. But yeah, we weren't. We had to get open. So the goal was to finish and get open as soon as possible. We ended up opening a year later, March. We had a soft open March 15th of 2021, and then the grand open of April 20th, 2021.
So a full year.
Yeah, it was a full year process. I know the insides of all these walls. Yeah, it was a great process, and we're still, it's a startup too. So throughout the years, you got a lot of lessons learned. Like, after the first year, we got robbed again. Yeah.
What happened this time?
We got what is it? We got hacked. Our payment processing account got hacked. They took like $60,000 in one day. It was like crazy. But we ended up getting it back because the company, the processor company found out and they got it back. But then like you like, okay, lesson again. Like our thing is, if we're gonna have certain level of growth, if you have certain things that you want to do in business, the trials that you go through, sometimes those are blessings too, right? Like these are the things that's going to help mold and shape you to be successful or to be a better leader, be a better businessman, be a better whatever. And so immediately after that, we had to lock down on our security. All passwords were scrambled. I can't tell you a password. They like 30, 40 characters long of just gibberish. And so like these things matter, right? So if you got the same password, it's a whole different situation. But if you got the same password in multiple places and you don't know if your email or information has been leaked before, somebody can easily just try your name and email in whatever bank or whatever situation you got, and they might get lucky. So
I know.
Yeah.
We're all like, you know what? Let me change my passwords right now.
yeah, so but it's a serious thing though, because I want to say AT&T just had a big.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, what man? It's a website. I'm gonna think about it that you can check if you've been hacked before, and it'll tell you what information that was leaked. Not if you've been hacked, but if a company had information was hacked.
Pops up on your phone a lot too. Like,
Mhm.
there's been a data leakage on your phone.
Yeah.
I keep ignoring that.
That's real. That's real. Like ever since that, I got like alert. I got all my stuff on alerts. If some information gets loose, I just change my scramble more passwords. But yeah,
Crazy. So now it's 21.
Yep.
You opened.
Mm-hmm.
You got Maker's Gym. Now you said there's a startup.
Yep.
There's a beautiful startup, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
If you want to share, you don't have to. The cost of the whole build out.
Ah, shoot.
You don't have to share it if you don't want to. It's fine.
Anything. It was millions. I just say it's
Okay.
millions.
Okay.
I just say it's millions. Yeah, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money.
Funny part is that
Yeah.
I had guessed how much the
You
building
did.
actually was.
You
I was
did.
like
You
smidgen
guessed
off.
the construction cost. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
the construction
crazy.
cost.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why I bring that up is because how effective was planning in this whole situation? I mean, you had a lot of setbacks during this time, as you explained. How important was the original plan when you put it all together?
Oh, it was very important. You have to be in communications. Anytime you have a vision, nobody, no matter how good somebody else is, nobody knows your vision. Like if I gave you a vision, nobody knows your vision. So you have to really put down every single detail. Like I had every room planned in here. Like when you're talking about through construction, you got AV teams, you had lighting, you had all different things. Like they're not thinking about the purpose as to why behind it. They're just thinking like, okay, we're gonna put this plug here, we're gonna put this box, AV box here. They don't know how people are gonna use it or whatever. So I worked out every room. Some stuff I found and ordered myself because people didn't know what to. So I had a long list of, okay, this room has XYZ. All the trades that were needed, whatever. I was like, okay, I knew exactly what to give them. You have to plan that thing out, whatever it is. This was a large scale, but even on the smallest scale, it can be, I go down to productions all the time, but it can be down to the hair, the type of hair your model has. Like, so going to the fashion shoots that we were doing for my wife, I had everything. Like, okay, this is gonna be the type of lighting we're gonna have. This is gonna be the type of outfits. Not just the outfits, but the shoes, the clothes, the accessories, the makeup, what it's gonna look like. I ain't a makeup artist, but I know what I wanted it to look like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're gonna give this to the actual makeup artist and be like, hey, this what we're going for. And they know how to get to it. But these planning that out, the details, the visual details, that is creative excellence. And that's how you can execute a vision from beginning to end and not get to the end and feel like this ain't what I thought. This ain't what I saw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And your wife, she actually was the decorator for a lot of the rooms here.
Yes. She's a full interior designer now. She's doing she's doing like she's finished a couple mansions now. She's doing it all. Shout her out. Look up
Yeah.
kpriceinteriors.com.
There
That's
you go.
hers, so
Make sure you guys take a look at it. Go
Yeah.
send her a follow as well. That's an
Yeah.
Instagram page as well.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Yep.
go check them out. So she helped design, all the interior. I want you to kind of dive in right now because I've had the privilege of doing the tour, and obviously, if you go to Maker's Gym on Instagram, you can take a look at the interior design. But there's a couple angles that you speak of.
Mhm.
Can you explain that? Because the angles of the walls and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we talk about branding all the time, right? So I'll start with the logo. So our logo is I don't know if you can see this, but like this icon here, it's a camera when you first look at it. One of the first things that one of my favorite logos was the FedEx logo, right? So it has a hidden arrow in between the E and the X, and it means speed and precision. It's hidden because it's supposed to be built within their brand. Like it comes with them, so I don't have to scream it at you. So the same thing here with our camera icon. There's a hidden kettlebell on the inside, and so that represents creative strength. So everything that we do is all about strengthening your creativity and your business knowledge, right? So it's a continuous process to work those creative muscles because if you don't use it, you lose it. So.
Yeah.
So with that, the design, we talk about beginning to end. You have a strong, simple idea, and you want to experience that, whether it's a physical experience, video, commercial, whatever. So when you walk into the space, we have this concept called refracted light. So as light enters into a camera lens, hence the logo, it breaks off into 30 and 60-degree angles, which you get refracted light. So when you walk through the space, like the ceilings are angled and the stairs are angled, the rails are angled. You're like, how are you getting, where are these angles mean? What do they mean? Some people think it's just cool. Like, no, every single thing has purpose. Even the colors in the space, every single color has an emotion that it portrays. And we put them in certain areas for certain work environments. People are like, man, I feel so productive here. I feel so excited. Like we've had somebody so inspired after a tour, they just cried at the beginning, at the door, and I was like, man, that's amazing.
I mean, even
That's
I've done the tour I think 4 or 5 times now, and I've been here so many times.
Man,
But I'll still get a tour just because I
Yeah.
love walking around. And there's a lot of spaces I don't get to use, but I get to see it. And then I bring like my team, and I've
Mhm.
brought other people here. Shout out to Cameron Petty. I've brought her here as well. She's an event planner,
Okay.
and she was like, "This place is awesome,"
Wow.
And it's
Wow.
just like bringing people around the space. Even some of my guests, my podcast guests, I've actually walked them around, and they're like, "This is phenomenal."
Wow.
So it's I mean, I've been a fan since day one, and so the question for you is now, where are we going? So where is Maker's Gym going from here? I mean, I know you got big plans, so
Yeah, like this is our beta test. When I say that, people are like, "Oh, that's a crazy beta test." But no, it's our beta test. Like this is meant to scale. We plan to have it in every major market. So you're a member in one, you could be a member at all of them. So if you imagine if you got a production. Again, my background is advertising, so we always go to location shoots and all this stuff. Like if I got to go to a different city to do X, Y, Z, then I'm just hopping on a flight with my client and doing those things, right? So imagine if you got a production project. Just say I'm like, if you're doing Japanese whiskey, random thing, right? Just know a lot about Japanese whiskey, and you're like, yo, I'm not trying to shoot that in Texas. I need to go somewhere where the talent is authentic. I need to go somewhere where the locations are authentic, the people, everybody, right? So instead of having to ship all your equipment, ship all these things, you and your client and you and your client can be bare minimum. Get on a flight. Now you're in Japan, and now you can have all your people. Your whole team is there. Your team is authentic. Your DPs are authentic because they're already built. I mean, they're already there at their location, and you can book your talent through the app. So just thinking about that, like that's a global scale vision.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, that's the idea, man. We're just trying to we're ironing out kinks, and then the plan is that once it's refined, and I feel like we're getting pretty close to it, we'll just copy and paste, and scale and connect people to where their projects can scale. The mission is to allow people to create without limits.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you have created that. You've created a masterpiece here.
Thank you.
I don't think there's anything out there like this, which makes it unique. I hope that, during this podcast, it gets enough views and that people will see it. And, is there a way for people to invest, or is it just memberships based?
Right now it's just membership based.
Okay.
Right now it's just membership based. But as we scale to different locations, people will be able to go into those particular locations.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, as we go into like a franchising model potentially later. So
That's what I was getting at, or even a licensing model. But either way, but it's just, man, this is something that I know in many other cities, people would drool over this, So this is phenomenal. Well, Terrance, I mean, man, I'm always taken back whenever I talk to you because I'm like, I gotta step my game up.
Oh no, I gotta step my game up to you, man.
We're like, dude. I'm like, I love the way your thought process, the passion, but also what I really love about you is the tenacity, the perseverance.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that figure the F out is what we really want to push for people to really figure out. Like, I want my listeners and anybody who watch this that when they going through hard times, they listen to each podcast and hear all these different people going through some significant moments and challenges that you have explained today. And man, you look at you.
Yeah, man, that brings me to a point though, because I'm in it now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, as small business owners or just life in general, dude, you got to embrace it. I mean, figure the F out is literally that. Embrace the challenges, embrace the hard times, because that's what's going to make you better, ultimately. That's what's going to make you better. It's what's going to make you stronger, wiser. And when the business world, sacrifices are necessary. If you think it's going to be perfect, or if it's not perfect right away, that don't mean it's not the right lane. That means you just got some refining to do. There's always going to be refining in order to grow. And so, yeah, that's the piece of it. You got to embrace their journey, man.
Embrace it.
And nothing going to be perfect. So
I love it, my man.
Yeah.
Where can they find you at if they want to reach out to you or anything about Makers Gym? Where can they find you and look you up?
So company, makersgym.com, at Makers Gym, on all platforms. My personal is TT Price on IG, or Terrance Price. I mean, I don't know if Facebook, people use Facebook anymore.
Facebook is that's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother thing. It was like personal, like Facebook feels like super personal now, don't it? Right?
Yeah, unless you got business pages. Business pages is a different story.
All
right, so
IG,
Makers Gym out here in Frisco, Texas. Shout out to Terrance Price. Thank you so much, my man, for being on this podcast today. I want to shake your hand too, man. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So with that being said, sorry about my voice. Order a shirt, Made to Create. You can go on any of the platforms, I'm sure, and ask for a T-shirt so you can purchase them. I want to say thank you again. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, Terrance said it right. You're going to have your challenges. You're going to have to refine things, but ultimately you have to figure it the F out. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good jazz. Leave comments. Watch this every Friday at noon. We have our live broadcast, and then it goes to Spotify and YouTube. So please look us up, and don't forget, when all else fails, figure it the F out, and we're out of here.
Biggest boss, and I've been in Trillis. I'm a bigger problem when I click with Skrillex. Murder on my